I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 491 of the Hoots Podcast. This is your truly the nefarious one, aka Joshie Lopez. Hope you guys are doing well. Brother Adam is in good spirits. We are, in fact, at episode 491, which means the countdown to our final episode continues. The countdown to episode 500 continues here on the podcast at Hoots. I just want to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart for everybody who's been part of this ride for the last 10 years, and I thank each and every single one who still continues to check out this pod as we're closing and nearing the end of this bad boy. And I'd love to get some of my colleagues on here before we say our final goodbyes, but I know everybody's busy right now, but hopefully in the coming weeks I'll have some more guests on and get ready to finally put the nail in the coffin when it comes to this project. But we're not done yet. We still got 9 more to do. These bad boys. They'll turn into 8 by the end of this program today. But I just want to say from the bottom of my heart again, thank you all for rocking with us, and I hope we've added positivity to this space because it surely needs it. And now the fact that I'm now knowing, at least from the audio side, I'll be on the outside looking in. I'll still be doing my transcripts, which, by the way, you guys should always check out my play-by-play work in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com or my own website, ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I'll be on the outside looking in. I'll be scaling back a little bit of my activity when it comes to the wrestling stuff on social media, besides my articles. But nonetheless, again, thank you all for coming to hang out with me today. Today we got a lot of ground to cover. We got to get to what happened this week in Raw with the return of John Cena and his final appearance in Boston. We'll get into all of that. The last time is now. Hence the title of this week's episode. Also, we'll get into a little bit of an interview that I heard Paul Heyman have yesterday with Stephanie McMahon. You're going to hear a little bit of that on the podcast as well this week in WWE. Also, answer your questions as always in the Back Porch Q&A session, one of our signature segments here on the podcast at Hoots. And to start things off here, I've been talking a lot about kind of reflecting on my journey as a content creator and like things that I've seen and trends and stuff like that amongst my colleagues and stuff like that. And I feel like in a lot of ways, there's a lot of room for improvement across the entire landscape of our field. Obviously, a lot of mitigating factors of I don't know if a lot of people who do content creation, whether it's a podcast like this or a live stream reaction or whatever the case is, a lot of it you don't really know if it's coming from pure intentions and if their reasoning for creating content in the first place is coming from a good place, And there's just a lot of cloud chasing out there. It really is, and it's really sad to see in a lot of ways. A lot of people are copying each other, and I just feel like there's just a lack of substance in this field, and it's been going on. It's not a new thing. This has been going on for at least 3 to 4 years now, which is really a shame. It really is. This field can be a positive thing, but I think a lot of us take the platform for granted, use it for the wrong reasons, and spew out propaganda from Wrestling Observer, and there's just a lack of nuanced and authentic conversations. I don't feel like I'm listening to somebody talk about wrestling. I'm hearing somebody regurgitate something that I've heard from 10 different people on different podcasts and dirt sheet sites. Like, I don't feel like I'm listening to someone talk about wrestling anymore. And it's permeating now into the live stream reactors now, too. They're all saying the same shit. Booking this, booking that, booking this, booking that. Like, newsflash, man, the world of professional wrestling doesn't live and die by booking, and that's not the only thing that matters. And the fact that you can whine and bitch and moan about WWE's creative all you want every week, but guess what? They're still selling out arenas and they're still making money. At the end of the day, this is a business. Business doesn't give a shit about your fantasy booking. And that's the dose of reality that I'll drop into you guys this week. As somebody who's experienced in this field, I could come in here and drop a podcast every single week, just dog crapping all over everything that's going on with WWE. And you would sit there and tell me, "Hey, Joshie, you're justified to feeling that way." And I would look at that and I'd be like, I go back and listen to what I say, and what I said, right? And I would be like, okay, did I address what I wanted to address? Or did I sound like 99.9% of the other podcasters who say the same stuff over and over and over and over again? And half the times the takes that they're trying to say loudly with their chests out and try to act as if it's a God gospel truth like JD and Solid Monster. Half of the times the shit that they say is not accurate, and we all lose the plot along the way, because at the end of the day, this stuff is subjective. And, like, again, like, I'd rather come on here and tell you that I enjoy professional wrestling and have a genuine conversation as if I'm sitting next to you than come on here and try to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. Yeah, it's great to come on here and pretend that I'm the smartest person in the room. And Triple H doesn't know what he's doing, but I know what I'm doing. And I got shit eating green on my face, and I got the jaw of fucking, the jaw of fucking AJ Hawk, but that doesn't make me the smartest person in the room. And it's really a damn shame, because it permeates through all the stuff that I mentioned last week with the John Cena retirement tour. I just feel like my colleagues as a whole have made this year of 2025 all about themselves instead of celebrating John Cena's career and being in the moment. I love the stuff that he did with Randy and Punk as a heel. I loved it. But people are still tied into the fact that Travis Scott cost Cody Rhodes the championship at WrestleMania 41, that it permeated and threw a cloud over everything else that Cena did after, which I think is bullshit, because The Rock was never advertised to be at WrestleMania, and the focus should have been on John Cena having his final WrestleMania. And there again, we can have debates and the cow goes home, but you know what? I'm not going to come here and try to act like some IWC baby. That's the last thing that I'm ever going to do on this podcast. So, yesterday, I stumbled upon a great article that Rey Mysterio wrote for the Players Tribune. Yesterday is the 20th anniversary of the passing of Eddie Guerrero. And Eddie was definitely one of my favorite wrestlers growing up as a kid. I mean, he passed when I was in 5th grade. I loved Eddie's work, seeing his entire journey through WWE, going back to watch the stuff that he did in WCW and ECW as I got older. And it's crazy to think that about his legend growing and growing and growing even after passing. This article that Ray wrote was fantastic, even to the point that I wanted to record myself reading out this entire article out to you guys. So, if you guys could go to the Players Tribune right now, and in a way to send our tribute to Eddie Guerrero this week on the podcast, I read the entire Players Tribune article that Rey Mysterio dedicated to Eddie Guerrero. It's powerful, it's deep, and Eddie, you're a one-on-one, man. We all miss you and we love you. Thank you, Eddie. This is Rey Mysterio on the Players Tribune, titled Dear Eddie. Let's check it out.
Dear Eddie, it's Friday night. I'm riding shotgun with my uncle, Ray Sr., and we're pulling up to the auditorium of Tijuana. Everyone else reading this letter, when I say pull up, they probably think I mean around back, like they must have had a special entrance for the famous luchador and his nephew. But nah, man. This is fight night in a border town. This was 1987. We entered through the front door like everyone else. I remember those signs that they were yesterday. Me and Senior driving to the show. It was like a million little block parties, and of course you could smell it before you would see it. Hot dogs, tacos, popcorn, chicharron, maybe some other smells we won't mention. Then you see the adults and the older kids getting their hustle on. Bootleg t-shirts, bootleg action figures, nothing like we have now, just some stiff plastic with a nail polish on the mask if you're lucky. And if you're really lucky, an 8x8 wooden square as a ring, 4 nails as posts, and some rubber bands for the ropes. And then the last you would see the younger kids holding their autograph papers and pencils. Bunch at the doors waiting to find out which of their favorite luchadors would show up that night. We would get there about an hour before, and my uncle, he had it timed exact. As soon as we were 2 blocks from the auditorium, he would roll to the next light and slow the car down to a stop. Then he would kind of look around for a moment to make sure no one was watching. And in this one motion, so smooth, whoosh, it pulled on its mask, and I'd just be sitting there in the passenger seat, 12 years old, like I'm Robin in a Batmobile thinking, man, this is it. Wrestling is everything. Then we would park Senior's car in the lot out front. He would give me his bag to carry, and we would walk right in. Okay, now I'm picturing you up there in heaven. We meet though, and you're reading this like, Ray, brother, cool story. Tell me something I don't already know. So I'll get to the point. Bagging for my uncle, and on those Friday nights in border towns, I have a lot of amazing memories from back then. Memories that mean so much to me and shaped who I am. But there's one that means more and shaped me more than the rest. And it's the memory of how one of those nights I basically saw a shooting star. I saw the greatest wrestler of all time for the first time. I saw you. I saw Eddie Guerrero. When I published this letter on Thursday, it'll be 20 years to the day since you passed, November 13th, 2005. It's hard to believe, and it feels so unfair sometimes just knowing how much life I've gone to live on in those years. You didn't get to see 40. That's still painful to think about. Me, on the other hand, I turned 50 last December. Nah. I can't already see the evil grin on your face hearing that. 50? 50? Already know you old. I know we meet though. It's true. But I'm writing this to you now, and I swear, I could live another 50 years, and when it comes to our friendship, I'll still be little bro. I'm forever your little bro. And you're forever my big brother. There was something unique about our friendship, even going back to that night in Tijuana, before we had any friendship. It's hard to put into words, but I think I'd say it like this. A lot of us wrestlers, they work together in the ring, and then become friends outside of the ring. Not us, though. We became friends in the ring, literally in the ring, through the art of wrestling itself. Of course, it started as a one-way friendship, me following my uncle around Mexico, then later trained to be a luchador myself around Mexico and crossing paths with you that way. From the outside looking in, instantly I felt a connection. It was so obvious just from watching you that you were special, that you mastered this presence, this way of movement that was yours alone. But as I went through wrestling school and began to study the craft of lucha libre, that's when I understood how you mastered the fundamentals as well. So many times while training, I'd be working on some role or position, and I would get to the point where maybe I start to think, wow, I'm pretty good at this one. Then I would see you do it, and I learned a lesson that almost anyone who's trained to wrestle has eventually had to learn. There's a mountain of difference between pretty good and Eddie, between pretty good and perfect. Part of our connection, I think, was in how we both came from these legendary lucha families, which meant we both inherited the gift and the curse of being next in line. And I gained so much admiration for you, just for watching you carry that. One thing I always loved that doesn't get mentioned enough, it probably isn't very well known, is how you came from a lineage of shooters, the not fucking around type wrestlers, the type who could and might break a guy's leg for real if they had to. So you were training all of that, a legit old school tough guy, but you you were never actually old school. And you were never trying to be a tough guy. What you were, though, at your heart, was a genius. And it's like you had this incredible drive to take that genius, push things forward. And so as Lucha Libre evolved away from the shooters to a more worker-based style and became more about performing with someone than against them, you embraced it. And you worked at it, and you worked at it until you became the best in the world at it. When I finally got to enter the ring with you, Eddie, I say that's when you finally got to know me. And it's when our friendship began to take shape for real. I think about those first times we wrestled, and it's like every now and then I would do something that surprised you a bit. I'd move, I'd pull out or away, I'd execute something, or even just the passion I show. Every time I did something like that, I could see your gears sort of turning, like, oh, okay, interesting. This is Ray. I didn't know how he got mud on him like that. Like you were slowly getting a read on me and adjusting your expectations of me. And it's like with each new adjustment, we would strengthen our bond. I'm guessing there would be people confused by this, huh? That doesn't sound like a basis for being friends, but that's just it, Wibito. That's why our bond meant so much. It's like we loved this thing in a way that no one else could understand. So we almost had no choice but to understand each other. The truest moment of our friendship may have been from our very first American match together. This was in '97, so you'd already been in WCW for a year or two by then. I mean, come on, you already wrestled Ric Flair for the U.S. title on pay-per-view. We were all so proud of you, and then slowly but surely we started following in your footsteps. But I also think we knew the deal. We were there to be undercard guys, to pop the crowd with exciting matches, but that's about it. They didn't really see money in us, and they didn't always understand our culture. That was definitely the case when they told me I'd be wrestling you at Halloween Havoc for your Cruiserweight title with my mask on the line, and I was going to lose. Man, I remember being so upset when I heard that. I was panicking, like I had just started to get over with the American fans, and with my mask being such a strong part of my identity, so to lose it so early in my career, I knew that could be a death sentence. But what choice did I have? I was a 22-year-old kid, I had no power, I had no leverage, I had no pull at the office. Thankfully, though, I had you. I had my friend, my big brother. The whole day leading up to the match, my head was spinning. I couldn't even think straight. But you just kept telling me, don't worry, Ray. Don't worry. Keep your head up, brother. We're going to make this right. And I'll never know what those exact conversations were that went down behind closed doors. But I know you talked to the office, explained why it was a bad decision for me to lose, and convinced them to let you put me over. Honestly, I still get chills when I think of what you did for me that night. Not just sticking your neck out for me, but doing it at your own expense and offering to lose your title so I could keep my mask and my identity and the momentum in my career. It's a gift I've never forgotten, and I've tried to pay forward over years as I've grown from new kid into OG. The idea that success for Latinos in this business, in this life, doesn't have to be zero-sum. We either get over as a community or we risk getting buried as one. For me, that lesson, it all started with you. But now I'm getting sad again. I'm telling you how I paid forward certain things, or how I look back on certain things, and all I can think about is the passage of time. 20 years, big brother, 2 full decades without you is so much time. Sometimes I'll admit I fantasize about what those decades would have been like if you were around. All these different moments we could have experienced together, all the different things you could have loved instead of missed. Your daughters, that's the biggest thing. Of course, I would trade every moment I wish I could have with you for just that. For you to have gotten to see your daughters grow up and into the woman they are. I won't speak too much on them here because it's not my place. And no doubt they're giving you updates themselves. But you should feel proud, Wibito. You'll be a proud papa. Here's one thing I'll gladly speak too much on. I wish you were around to see the impact you've had on our sport. Oh my God, Eddie, like where can I even begin? I think the first thing that comes to mind is just your style. Math isn't really my strong suit, so this isn't scientific, but purely off the dome, and from knowing what's what, I would say that when other wrestlers are asked in interviews who their favorite wrestler was growing up, or who was their guy, was that really connected with or tried to emulate the most in the ring, or simply put, who's their GOAT, your name comes up more than any other. Your favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, you know this phrase. That's you, Wibito. You resonate in a way that can't be measured. You fucking matter. The second thing I always think about, as far as your impact, is how you help guys like us. Guys who, let's just say, aren't giants, get taken seriously as headlining talent. Honestly, maybe the best way to express how much you change these perceptions is to promise you there are young people reading this letter right now who didn't know it was ever another way. That's how fundamentals become. The idea that wrestlers at your size or my size or any non-traditional size can main event a show and be booked at a top level. Guys like AJ Styles, CM Punk, Jey Uso. These are great world champions who have had like some of the biggest shows ever. And I'm not sure it happens without you. And then the third thing I'll mention is the impact you had on Latinos in wrestling. I'm getting emotional just thinking about this one. It's so personal to me. Because like I said, when you and I were first coming up, luchadors simply weren't treated as a class of wrestler who could draw in the U.S. But it's also even deeper than that. Our fans, I think, were sometimes treated that same way. Like they were viewed through this lens of, I don't know if I'm seeing money here. We hated that so much. But then WCW and WWE, they put us on television and gave us a chance to be on big spots. And by doing this, they also gave the Latino fans a chance to see wrestlers who look like them and talk like them and acted like them in big spots. And sometimes that's all it takes, you know what I'm saying? A chance. Those fans, the ones who supported us on our come up, a lot of them fell in love with the sport for life. And then their kids fell in love with the sport for life. And now you're really seeing it in full bloom. I'll give you an example. So like, take the LWO, your old group from WCW. WWE brought it back in early 2023 as a new group of me and some talented young Latino wrestlers. And maybe at first it was supposed to be the short-term nostalgia thing, but then so many fans loved it, and the merch sales went crazy. And now almost 3 years later, it's still going. Also that same year, WWE decided to hold Backlash at San Juan, their first pay-per-view show in Puerto Rico in 18 years. No one really knew how it would perform. Well, it broke all kinds of gate records, and it was one of the best crowds in company history. And here's the best part. It's all connected. A major reason for that show was the influence of this Puerto Rican rapper named Bad Bunny. He's the biggest artist in the world right now. And of course, guess what? He grew up a huge wrestling fan. Want to know who was one of his favorite guys? I'll give you a hint. It's in his lyrics. Guerrero come Eddie que viva la raza, yeah. How's that for full circle, Vivito? And then last but not least, and I'll admit I'm being selfish here, I wish you were around to see Dom, your very own son. No, I'm just kidding. But I know that line will pop some people. The thing of it is, it's unreal. All the different ways that the story we told at SummerSlam in 2005 has stayed meaningful. I laugh every time I think back to us first bringing the idea to little Dominic. So what do you think about being part of this feud between me and Theo Eddie, where it's about who gets custody over you? He was 8 at the time, so he obviously had 2 important questions. 1, am I getting paid? And 2, can I miss school? Once we answered yes to both, he was in. Toward the end of the SummerSlam match, there's this moment that became infamous. You're thinking Vicky's about to come out for the finish, but a signal got crossed with her cue, so you started screaming at Charles Robinson, "Where the fuck is Vicky? God damn it!" But what I always remember about that match, it's not the infamous part, it's what happened after. You came backstage, and at first you were going off like a firecracker. Fuck this, fuck that shit. Something of a P word. You're pretty much shouting every word imaginable and unimaginable as you storm through the tunnel. But then out of the corner of your eye, you saw Dominic standing there. And he was kind of shying away a bit, you know, since he had never been involved in something like this before. So I think he was scared from how angry you were acting. And as soon as you saw that, it's like every ounce of air just instantly drained out of you. And you feel backed up with love. You went right over him, hugged your big ass sweaty arm around his shoulder, and you're like, "You okay, mijo? You okay? Everything good, man? I promise. You did great out there." I've never seen Dom so happy. No lie. That might be my favorite memory of you from all of our years together. 3 months later, you were gone. And now it's 20 years later, and I wish so bad you could be here to see Dom's own wrestling career take flight. Honestly, it wasn't the smoothest flying at first. He debuted in WWE about 5 years ago, or came back if you count the custody match. And Rey Mysterio's baby boy was still very much in the character he was playing. No mask, too handsome. But other than that, he was the same clean-cut babyface type I've been for most of my career. And he held his own. Like, his first match ever was at SummerSlam 2020 against Seth Rollins, one of the best guys in the roster. I think Dom surprised people that night and started to earn respect from there. But at the same time, it wasn't quite hitting that next level, you know what I'm saying? And I can already picture you reading this week, though, way up in those clouds, and you're doing that pose when you've got your elbows in and your palms open, and you're giving me that fucking smirk shrug because you know what I'm about to say. Dominic wasn't fully clicking as Rey Mysterio's baby boy, so he did what I'm 100% sure you would have told him to do. He turned heel. It basically became Eddie Guerrero's demon boy, and that changed everything. When I say you would approve of who Dom has become, Eddie, it's an understatement. You would love it. Because the wrestler he is now, it feels like a love letter to so many of the things that made you so special. He had the presentation down perfect, the sleazy, no offense stash, the terrible, no offense mullet, the ugly, no offense jewelry and clothes. He's got that shit-eating grin. He's got that innate ability to play off different people like you did with me, Batista, Chyna, and so many others. And I'll tell you the number one trait of Dom that's a love letter to you, Eddie. And I bet you already can guess what I'm about to say here, too. The worse he behaves, the more they cheer. As you know, it's harder to pull this off than it looks. To be a bastard, no offense, who the fans want to embrace, flaws and all, because even at your worst, they can see something human at the center. But that's what Dom has been able to achieve. Man, shut the fuck up about Dom, Ray. I thought this was a letter to me. I can hear you teasing me so clearly, but I'll share a secret, Mr. Lie Cheat Steele. You were always a bad liar, and I know you reading this and you're beaming with pride and your heart's very full. So is mine. Okay, last thing before I go, I have to tell you a short story. It's about something that just happened. A little over a week ago, after being out with the injury for 7 months, I made my big return on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, we still have Raw. It was a good feeling. But the best part wasn't the return itself, it's that I returned to cut a promo on Dominic, so I got to share the ring with him. Dom was a double champion at the time across 2 promotions, Intercontinental Champion in WWE, I know, crazy, and Mega Campeon in AAA, I know, crazy. And since he's this cocky heel, he got on the mic and started to boast about how his belts prove how great he is and how he's the best luchador of all time and how he's the king of the luchadores. And once he's saying that, you know, I'm coming out to set him straight. My music hits, I watch the ring, and I'm basically like, Dominic Mejio, come on, you're not serious. Are you really going to stand here in this ring and claim you're the king of the luchadores? That you're better than El Santo, nice pop. That you're better than Blue Demon, another nice pop. And then you're better than Eddie Guerrero? Alright, Rito, I don't want your ego to get too big, but you're going to have to trust me on this. When I mention your name in that promo, nice pop doesn't even come close to describing it. Brother, that's the loudest pop I heard all night. It was like an explosion, like I invoked the name of God himself. And it didn't stop there. Pretty soon, the entire building was in a full-on chant, Eddie, 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 Eddie. And of course, Dom had the perfect line, you keep my father's name out your mouth. Man, I've been in a lot of rings on a lot of nights. It takes a lot to take my breath away, but that moment, it took my breath away. I mean, Eddie, I swear to you, it was like you were there. And not in the way we sometimes say about the dead. The presence remains with us and so on. And when I'm talking about something much more powerful, I'm talking that entire building. It felt alive with you. It felt alive with this love for you. And it felt alive with this love for wrestling that a generation found because of you. It's a love that the next generation and the next and the one after that will also find. They'll find it in the work you've left behind. They'll find it in the stories we continue to tell. They'll find it in your legacy and your influence and your genius and your spirit. They'll find it in how your memory, how the name Eddie Guerrero is now forever soon on the fabric of what this sport might become. I just wish I could tell you that we don't. My big brother, my great rival, my true friend. I wish I could tell you everything. I wish I could tell you anything. I can't believe it's been 20 years. I love you for the rest of them.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast of Hoots. It's time to talk about what happened this week in WWE. Before we get to the fun extravaganza that is the Last Time Is Now experience with John Cena in Boston, I wanted to play a bit of a piece of audio that I got yesterday from Stephanie McMahon's What's Your Story podcast with the wise man, the oracle, the advocate, the one and only Paul Heyman. Check this out. There's some really good stuff right here.
When I work with... See, Brock, really, we never explored the depth of the character. Brock's character is intentionally very one-dimensional. But the Tribal Chief wasn't. What made the Tribal Chief so different is that at very strategic times we presented layers. And every time you thought you understood the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, we showed you something different. And that's what made that character so breathtaking to watch develop in front of your very eyes. It's like it's like a child star that grows up in front of you.
Yeah.
And as much of a grown man as Joe Anoa'i, Roman Reigns obviously was, he grew up as the Tribal Chief in front of the audience. Every time you thought, we presented him.
He became the Tribal Chief. He is the Tribal Chief, OTC.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So, and there were things that he entrusted me with that I don't think any other person on the face of the planet knows about him. And whether it was a promo in front of an audience or whether it was one of the things backstage on the couch, and he's searching for that layer that he wants to present, and I'll just pull him aside and say, this. And he'll just look and go, got it. And that's it. I know. It's tapped into it. And you have to trust me to keep that between us and never repeat it under any circumstances, even on my deathbed. That goes to the grave with me. But to get that greatness out of somebody.
Oh, they really have to trust you.
And for a person that admittedly will have a reputation of being untrustworthy, there are things that I will take to my grave about a lot of different people that my own children don't know. Because that's the intimacy that I will have with people that I work with. And if you give me that vulnerability, I'll never betray it. And we will have a personal satisfaction and professional satisfaction of achieving greatness together that two other people can't match.
Yeah.
That's
because it's so much deeper.
Oh, yeah, it has to be. And it goes both ways, by the way.
Sure. It has to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's reciprocal.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
Someone tells me something about themselves, I give it back.
Yeah.
I will say, well, let me tell you something about me. That's my equivalent to your story, so that I don't just understand or sympathize with that emotion, I empathize with it.
Right.
I truly understand where you're coming from, because here's a running joke that Steph and I have always had. For years, we'd see each other, usually in Gorilla. Hello, the obligatory hug, then the obligatory laugh between the two of us, right? That's just it, because we're laughing at ourselves and each other at the same time.
Because we're happy to see each other.
Very.
Yes.
Very. And here comes the question. One says to the other, so, any psychotherapy lately? Right? And it's like, no, but I need it. And I go, yep, I need it too. Have you gotten it? Nope, don't have time. Yeah, you know what? Don't have time for it either. Oh, well, guess we got to figure it out all by ourselves. You know? And that became the running joke for years between us.
Yeah.
Therapy? Now, need it? Yep. Get it? Nope. Okay.
That's why we're here. Yes.
Yeah. And that's it. If I'm working with someone, it becomes a mutual therapy session so that you know the depths of my stupidity or my vulnerability or my trauma. And you also know the heights of my happiness. And I know the same thing about you. So if we're going to go and try to achieve greatness together, there are no rules. It's uninhibited. I will say anything I can to you to get that out of you so that when you look back on this 20 years later, you go, that was the most authentic portrayal I've ever given of this emotion, because that was a shoot within the skin of the character.
Which is...
Boom. Some top-tier Wilson right there for the wise man. Great stuff there. Check out Paul Heyman on Stephanie McMahon's What's Your Story podcast. It was really, really good listening to that during my walk yesterday. All right, guys. It is This Week in WWE. In fact, it is. Before we get to the John Cena stuff, I do want to mention a couple things for SmackDown because I don't want to forget. And we got SmackDown tonight. Tonight, SmackDown's in Albany, New York. I think is this still the MVP arena? I all these years of making transfers, I still have like these specific arena names like stuck in my head anytime I hear a town. Oh, we're in Dayton or something like that, Toledo. Oh, we're in Huntington Bank Center, or another example, like, Indianapolis, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Cleveland, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, Detroit, Little Caesars Arena, Houston, Toyota Center, Miami, well, that's an exception. They change their arena name every other year. Well, at least Orlando, right? Orlando's the Kia Center now. So tonight, SmackDown's in Albany, New York, MVP Arena. We'll see what happens tonight. We got the other first batch of John Cena's The Last Time Is Now tournament matches. We got Jey Uso against The Miz. I think that'll probably be the main event of the show tonight. We got LA Knight against a mystery opponent. That's the guess. A lot of people are wondering, who's it going to be? Who will LA Knight be the mystery opponent? I'll tell you right now, I have a feeling that Matt Cardona will fight Solo at Madison Square Garden. That is my prediction. I think Matt Cardona is the surprise. He'll be the surprise performer in the Last Time It's Now tournament in MSG. Tonight, however, I think it's Nick Nemeth that will face LA Knight. Yeah. Watch out for that. I think LA Knight fights Nick Nemeth tonight on SmackDown. So if you heard it here first on the Hoots Podcast, I'll make sure to post the show before SmackDown goes on air tonight. All right, let's go. Let's get to what everybody wants to talk about. John Cena. Big special night, TD Garden. I was there before. I've been to Boston twice in my life. Just a special crowd. That crowd on Monday was fantastic for the entire show. I know some people were trying to pretend, oh, the show fell off after John Cena left. Well, no fucking shit. They dropped their load for 45 minutes of energy with everything that happened at the beginning of the show. Well, that doesn't mean that the entire show just dropped in quality. They were there for the Punk segment. They were there for the main event, which was an awesome tag team match. Congratulations to the Kabuki Warriors, by the way. We had Triple H out there. Vince Russo. I think for like the last 2 years, all he talks about is Triple H. For the last 2 years, all he's done is talk about Triple H. Triple H this, Triple H that, Triple H this, Triple H that. Vince, if you're that much better, you would be there right now, bro. End of story. So, stereotypical IWC Vince Russo shit. Oh, Triple H is out there to steal the spotlight from John Cena. No. Triple H is from Boston. It's a classic thing to have the main guy come out there, introduce the greatest performer of all time in his hometown. Vince would have done it back in the day. I mean, I don't see what the problem was having Triple H out there. Like, people just find the littlest things to fucking bitch about, which is so ridiculous. John comes out, energy insane. He's got the Celtics t-shirt on. Out comes Dominic Mysterio after Cena expresses gratitude to the crowd. I did like the announcement that he made that main roster stars will be having exhibitions during that Saturday night's special on Peacock on December 13th. I'm starting to feel like that show is going to be a PLE. They'll call it Saturday Night's Main Event, but this show is going to be going for a while. So I like the fact that they're doing these exhibitions with main roster against NXT superstars. I think that's a great idea, and I'm glad that Joshie is the one that came up with the idea because it's a good one. So I thought that was a cool announcement. Don comes out. He's mad about Ray embarrassing him on Raw last week, and he's like, I'm the one that interrupts old men, not the other way around. And then John's like, hey, calm down. It's okay. He's trying to, like, big brother Dominic to a point. And Dominic, I got to tell you, man, Dominic Mysterio was on top tier restaurant quality performance this past Monday. He is the man. I'm glad that now people are finally jumping on the Dom Mysterio bandwagon, but like all the people are like, oh, he's gonna be David Flair, he's gonna be David Sammartino, he's gonna be Kurt Hennig, he's gonna be Curtis Axel, he's gonna be Ted DiBiase Jr. Oh, Dominic's gonna be a bust. Look where he's at now. You know what I mean? So Dominic gets into it back and forth with Cena. He's like, I'm already better than you were at your prime. And he's like, go sit in your corner, I'll put you down. And Cena's like, fine speech. You know, that's a good seal of approval if you get that from John Cena. Fine speech. Like, I wonder how that goes on Monday. You know what I mean? Like, John Cena's out there. Master Cigar. Who does the fine speech segment with on Monday? Comment down below, by the way. Who would you guys like to see John Cena fight at Madison Square Garden this Monday for his final Raw match? It's so crazy that I just said that out of my mouth. Final Raw match for John Cena. It's crazy, man. Monday is going to be pretty emotional, man. We'll see what happens. All right. So it leads to Dom running his mouth too much, and it ended up costing him because it ended up becoming an IC title match. John Cena completes his story. He becomes the Grand Slam champion. An awesome moment. The match was awesome too, and I thought it was the right call. It does absolutely no damage to Dominic. Even to the fact that I think Dominic gained more out of what happened this past Monday with John Cena than him retaining and beating John Cena in the match. You gotta look out to the bigger picture, guys. I know a lot of you all live on wins and losses, but this is not a sport. It's just not. So, I loved it, man. It was an awesome send-off for John in his hometown. Awesome way to kick off the show, and it was a pretty dope moment for John to have that with his family and friends and stuff in the crowd. So I thought that was pretty cool. We had the Punk segment with Logan Paul, ended up coming up division, and then it comes Jey Uso, and Cody Rhodes comes out to even the odds. We had William Regal in the back. I thought this was cool for him to do the WarGames announcement, which is cool. You know, here we go again. That doesn't make sense. Why does Cody Rhodes be in the WarGames, man? It doesn't make sense. It does make sense because Paul Heyman said prior to the Vision tried to attack CM Punk that he doesn't have friends. He's a rotten human. Nobody would trust him. So, okay, Mr. Heyman, you say that Punk has no friends. Last time I checked, Jey Uso is his friend, right? Cody Rhodes is his friend. Will we have strange bedfellows for the final other people on Punk's team? Maybe. We have it every year for WarGames. But the people that just say shit and not apply any substance or nuance to what they say is just really telling. Okay, it doesn't make sense for Cody Rhodes to be in the WarGames, yet it's his father's match, and yeah, he's a friend with CM Punk when Paul Heyman is saying basically you have no friends and you have no backup and you have no chance of beating the Vision. Follow along, people. It's kind of the same thing with the women too. You know, oh, the women's WarGames build was rushed. Last time I checked, outside of Lash Legend and Nia Jax, if you want to consider that rush, and you're just using that as an excuse because you don't, you're just using that to deflect because you don't like Nia Jax as a performer, so you're just gonna come up with some weird convoluted reason as to why the women's WarGames was rushed, which doesn't make sense to me because Charlotte and Asuka and the Kabuki Warriors have all been interlocking and fighting with each other for about weeks now and almost months. Same thing goes with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. They have history with the Kabuki Warriors. Does that not make sense? I don't know. You guys are trying too hard to act like you're the smartest person in the room, and you're really not. And the last thing I have to say here for this week in WWE is, folks, don't let Bryan Alvarez tell you that NXT is not a good show. It constantly outdraws AEW Dynamite in weekly viewership and quality every single week, and it's not close. Stop letting Bryan Alvarez let you think that NXT is a bad show, because it's not. I cover it each week, and I still watch Dynamite on my own, even though I don't cover the show anymore. We're not going to have a comparison from an NXT show that's developing characters and actually have continuity with what they do compared to a fucking dirt sheet vanity project that ended up being some plunder outlaw mud show thing in Greensboro, North Carolina this past Wednesday. Let's just stop already. Stop buying into Bryan Alvarez's nonsense that NXT is not a good show, because it is. It's been a good show for a while, and he just can't admit it because he needs something to bitch about. And I don't know, that is what happened this week in WWE. When we come back, we'll answer your questions for the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 491 of the Hoots Podcast. As the countdown to episode 500 continues. We'll be right back. Yeet! All right. Welcome back to the Hoots Podcast. So much to do here on the podcast of Hoots. Before we get to your questions, I want to say, if you're on YouTube right now, make sure to hit the like button, smash that subscribe button, and help us out on YouTube right now. We're at 878 subscribers as of this recording. We're very close to getting to our 1,000 mark. So if there's any way we could get the podcast close to 1,000 subscribers before episode 500, that'd be awesome. So we're at the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. We appreciate the support. Press the bell notification. That way you never miss any episodes that drop for the Hoots Podcast as well. All right, folks, let's do it. Throw it up. Throw up the X for the good brother Chris Zaletta at XCeamZaletta24X at the Twitter machine. Time to answer your questions for the Back Porch Q&A session. And as always, if you ever want to participate in the seminar, all you have to do is hit me up on X at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. What a boost. Here's some questions for your Q&A this week. Thoughts on John Cena becoming IC champion finally. I thought it was an awesome moment. Right call, right building, right place, right time. And again, I think Dominic became more of a star in losing than him beating John Cena. So I loved it. Does John Cena do a open challenge at Survivor Series? Well, that's one of the reasons why we'll have to tune into Monday Night Raw this Monday in Madison Square Garden, because I have no idea what he's going to do at Survivor Series. He could be in WarGames. Hey, the men's and women's WarGames builds are Russian make no sense crowd. John Cena is also a friend of CM Punk too. So if he's in the WarGames, again, tell me how that doesn't make sense. Do you think the men's WarGames will be 5-on-5 or 4-on-4? I think it'll be 5-on-5 for each. I think they usually keep it traditional for both parties. I think if you look at who would be the last members for the men's WarGames, you would go with Roman and Jimmy Uso, obviously. I would say maybe Drew McIntyre on the Vision side, and that's the thing. I'm curious as well, because people keep saying that Brock Lesnar is going to be in this WarGames. Well, I haven't seen him. Where you at? Where you at though? Probably could be Drew McIntyre. It could be Randy Orton. I don't know. That's the thing. We got to watch these shows to see where this plays out, though. Who do you think will be the last to join the Red and Kendall QCC? Great question there. It's interesting. I mean, you got a lot of talented performers there. I don't know why it wouldn't be Carmen Petrovich. I'll be honest. I like her stuff. I enjoyed covering her matches over the years. She's definitely smoking hot and great to look at on TV. I don't think she's bad at promos. She's got a nice personality from the vlogs I've watched her in the past. She's a cool person. I would go with Carmen Petrovich because she deserves more TV time. Thoughts on Thoughts on Joe Hendry officially joining WWE? Awesome. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Happy for him. Long overdue, and I'm happy for him. That's an awesome piece of news there. Who do you think the two mystery entries in the Cena tournament are? Well, I said it earlier this week in WWE. I'm going to go with Matt Cardona to fight Solo and Nick Nemeth to fight LA Knight for tonight. As of this recording, I'm on this Friday, November 14th. All right, last question here. He says, any title changes at Gold Rush, and which match are you looking forward to most? Good question there. Yes, I think Shawn Legacy beats Jackson Drake for the Evolve Men's Championship. I got Joe Hendry and Thea Hale being Ethan Page and Chelsea Green for the AAA Mixed Tag Team Championships. Unfortunately, I think JC Jane's getting her NXT Women's title back again. I think Izzy Damon's costing Tatum Paxley the title this Tuesday. This Tuesday. So right now, I'm going to go with the Evolve title for the men to lose. New AAA Mixed Tag titles, and then a new NXT Women's Championship as well. So those are my picks right now for Gold Rush. And then matches I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I'm looking forward to Blake Monroe and Sol Ruka. We'll finally get the match that we've been wanting to see, the match that we're supposed to have at Halloween Havoc. But I'm excited for the card for the most part. I mean, even Tatum and Paxley, they're able to rematch from Halloween Havoc. That's going to be a dope match. So, regardless, I think it's going to be a fun show. And they're at the theater at Madison Square Garden. It's going to be a good crowd. And I'm curious to see how this plays out. But on that note, we're going to put a rib on the boat on this week's edition of the podcast at Hoots. So I want to thank Chris for the awesome questions. As always, he does a great job. Make sure to follow Chris at Twitter at XT24X on the Twitter machine. And if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up on X at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. But on that note, we're going to put a round of bow on this week's edition of the podcast at Hoots. The countdown to episode 500 continues. We go from 491 now to 492. We have 8 more episodes left. I'm going to try my best in the coming weeks to bring some of my colleagues back here on the show. And I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me as always, man. These are fun shows to record. You guys make this process fun and easy for me. And remember, folks, to check out us on YouTube. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. That would mean a lot to me. We're at 878 right now, so all you have to do is hit that like button and smash the subscribe button. Boom, boom. Pretty simple deal. Just help us out here on YouTube. Hoots Podcast home is Odyssey. Make sure to type in the Hoots Podcast anywhere you get your podcast from. And it's pretty easy to find. And we drop new episodes every single Friday. Also, if you want to check out my main work in my transcripts, go to the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com or ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. And on the note, as always, as I leave you here today, remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I'm Joshie. This has been episode 491 of the Hoots Podcast as the countdown to episode 500 continues. Love each and every single one of you, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Yeet!
Bye-bye, bitch.